It's a beautiful Sunday for some weekly Q&A action, and in today's video, I'll be going over the community's questions that have been posted during this week, which anyone can contribute to, by the way, in the Discord link in the description below. And of course, you can also join the YouTube members community as well for priority on those. Before we get into it, we'll just very quickly and briefly go over Bitcoin, and I kind of want to pull back into the greater picture once again, because tomorrow is inauguration date. We've had some pretty fucking crazy things happen in the last 48 hours with Trump like literally putting up a meme coin, which is absolutely insane, and it getting to about 10 billion market cap. Actually also insane as well, and I think like another maybe 40 or 50 billion fully diluted value. Anyways, with a major event like this coming up and with, you know, craziness going on over the weekend, I could very easily see the inauguration event being a bit of a sell the news type thing, where we do get some deep pullbacks, you know, across the board. But I would still be looking at these pullbacks, if assuming that they do happen, as very likely to be, well, you know, major higher lows on most things. Now, for Bitcoin right here, I don't want to make this this analysis any more complicated than what it needs to be. Weekly time frame closing today is one massive bullish engulfing dildo, and assuming that it does close above last week's high, which is about 102,750, 102,750 fucking dollars. It's a big number, but still lower than the current big number. If Bitcoin does close above there before or by the end of tonight, then there's your bullish engulfing, and very likely we see Bitcoin, I would imagine, try for new highs maybe this next week, and very likely before January is over. Tentatively, I'm still looking, you know, at the next major area of interest at about 114, that being based off of the bi-monthly HPDR, but we won't get into like a super deep Bitcoin analysis today, just keeping it nice and simple before the actual Q&A. And the 10-day time frame also going to have the chance to do the same thing, although not closing tonight, it's going to be closing tomorrow on that inauguration date. So if you do see it close above there, you know, that's going to be a really good sign for Bitcoin to try new highs, I would say, in the next 10 days, which brings us into the end of January. Anyways, let's now get into the community questions. We'll start off with, of course, the YouTube members right here, and we'll just go straight down the list. We'll see how many we can get through in about an hour. I started these with just 30 minutes in mind. Now it's an hour, but it is pretty fun. So anyways, we'll start it off with Cousin Burley here. He says, "Hey, Crown, MicroStrategy on the daily and weekly." Okay, let's see, MSTR. Let's go to higher term timeframes here. Monthly is, I know you didn't ask about the monthly, but I mean, that's what I would really want to focus on for the long term. Very strong. Again, as long as it's above this red 5 exponential moving average, it's just not wise to be calling, you know, a major top. And while I do think that this thing can get more crazy, because, you know, we are in the end stages of a bull market here, at least in my opinion, I would imagine this one probably retests highs in February, probably even makes slightly new highs. I don't know how much more it has to go on top of that, but generally, I'm not going to be bearish off something like this, which is an uptrend on all higher term timeframes that matter. And the weekly is just printing a bullish engulfing dildo right there as well. I mean, very likely to try higher this next week from its current rally. I would imagine at least like 450, maybe a pullback there along the inauguration, and then perhaps gets picked up for a late January / early February rally, maybe to new highs. Anyways, moving on from there. Whoops, wrong one. There we go. I know you also asked about RGTI. I suppose we'll do multiple for the members here. Why not? Rigetti Computing Systems, already on the daily. I don't like it as a parabolic blow off top. I hate these sort of things right here. Do I think it's going to bounce from here? Yes, I do. Do I think it's going to trade back up into double digits? Yes, probably somewhere between 13.5 to 14 or maybe even $15. But that's what I'd be looking for on a nice bull trap if this thing is going to indeed trap. So, you know, what does it end up looking like? I don't know, maybe something like this, boom. And then if you see a rejection right here, that would be my big signal that this thing is confirmed topped for a very long time, and probably getting ready for prices back down around, I don't know, $4 or $5, which is a pretty damn big move for this stock. Anyways, moving on, we have, whoops, I keep on going to the wrong one. Back to the YouTube members. We have Arms Private. He says, "Good morning, SAI USDT." So this one came up in a live stream about a couple weeks ago, and I identified it as something that was interesting. And I think a lot of people caught wind of that. That was back here, somewhere back around here. And, or sorry, wait, what? yeah, somewhere back around here, actually. This one a little bit up from that time that we did look at it, but going into a bit of a consolidation right here. I do think that it has hit a local high based off the weekly and also based off the daily as well. We see many drives, or actually we don't see any drives of bearish divergence on the daily stochastic oscillator because I'm not actually using Caretaker's RSI, but now that I look at it, there would not be bearish divergence on it, which is a bit surprising to me. I would have been expecting it right there. Regardless, I do think that it is entering into a bit of a consolidation phase where it goes sideways and down. Probably comes back down into range around low 6 cents, but I'd be looking for it to kind of fill out a range like this for a while. Something like 5.25, 5.5 cents to the downside versus these highs here at about 9 cents. And I'd be looking for it to trade sideways for a while. And then does this thing get another try to the upside, later on? Probably yes. But for right now, I think that the rally is likely done in the short term, at least. There's really not much history to be going off of here, to be fair. But I'd be looking at this one as corrective as long as the daily stochastic oscillator is positioned to the downside, which it seems to be healthily down there now. So look for a little bit of sideways, look for a little bit of downside, and then as long as it holds that range, I would be looking for another rally in February, most likely. Oops, I go to the wrong thing. I just need to adjust my windows over here. There we go. Oh, before we go on, I should also bring this up again. I'm bringing back the Bluffin link over here, which you can find a link to in the description below. It awards you not 10% off of your trading fees, but actually 15% off of your trading fees. And it comes into your account in the form of cash back. So you get the money back and you can actually withdraw that too. I was asking someone why that matters. And that was their reaction. Of course, this also applies to the lifetime of your account, and relevant to many people's interests out there, it is no KYC as well. Anyways, moving on, let's go back. And of course, even if you grab an account today, you can just secure it for a lifetime. So to me, it seems like a good option because many exchanges don't even do discounts anymore. You can tell that these exchanges are starting to hurt. I can't see why, although, maybe a lot of stuff is actually going to the real traditional market or maybe a lot of it's going on to decentralized exchanges. Anyways, going on onwards and forwards here, we have Martin Sean Hunt. He says, "Hello, sir. I hope you're having a great week. Hope you're having a great week as well, sir. Have the last couple of months of sideways served to change your view on the potential timing of the cycle, or are you still seeing an earlier top than most people are expecting more likely?" Yeah, 100%. In fact, I think that this week further confirms that for me, at least. I know people look at Trump as coming in and being the first crypto president, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, that is good and that is great. But I think a lot of these moves are going to be done certainly before the end of this year. And I personally think extremely likely before the end of the first half and very likely before the end of the first quarter, or by the end of the first quarter or around the end of the first quarter. Because right now we're not seeing that sideways anymore. A couple months of sideways is nothing. If Bitcoin played out sideways, let's say between, 80,000 and 100,000 bucks for 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, which we've seen many times. We saw it in 2024 before this last mega rally. We saw it, of course, over here in 2023 before this mega rally. We saw, an extremely long consolidation over here in 2019 and 2020 before this mega rally. I do think that this current move right here, this is like end stage bull market parabolic type stuff going on right here. I know that a lot of people will probably disagree with me on that because they haven't seen the gains that they want to see, but you're just in the wrong things. I've been saying this for a long time now with when it comes to altcoins. There's going to be you're going to see an alt season. But it's not going to be with everything. Everything is not going to be getting these massive upside moves. We have not seen that. We've really not seen that since 2017. People are way stuck in the back with this, and the new sectors, the new shit, the new hot stuff, which seems to be AI, maybe Trump's meme as well. These sort of things. These are getting all of the gains and then some, and pulling up the average. But yeah, for Bitcoin itself, I look at this as 1 month of consolidation. that's nothing, absolutely nothing. In fact, makes me even more confident that we probably see a top extremely likely before first half, maybe even around the end of first quarter. But we'll see. We'll see what the response is tomorrow. Assuming that this market continues, that's what I'd say. The only way I'd revert that view is if Bitcoin closed back down around or back below $100,000 by end of month, and then that would open up the likelihood that it's going to continue to range. But I just don't think that's very likely right now, with what happened in the past few days here, or the past week, I should say. Anyways, moving on, we have Crypto Wrecked. He says, Sir Crown, hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well as well, sir. You are my trading guru. I am not a guru, sir. I'm just giving my opinion out on the internet. Whatever you do with that information is of your own doing. That means all of your wins are your own, and all of your losses are also your own as well. But I can give an opinion if you'd like something to reference, I suppose. Anyways, I bought Ethereum at an average price of $16.50, expecting some gang action, same as previous cycles. Ethereum disappointed me. I would like to rotate Ethereum gains to 4 tokens, which have a prior probability of doing better in the coming 2 to 3 months. Can you provide an outlook on these 4 tokens versus Ethereum? I really don't think it's going to matter versus Ethereum. But if you're looking at this OM, remember we looked at this one this past week. I mean, it's a good chart here. Yes, I'm very skeptical of something that moves like this. Maybe it has one more move to the upside, but even this thing I think is very close to a major high. I guess if things got really crazy, maybe it puts in a move towards like $5-6. But yeah, I mean, this one's pumped quite a fair bit already, honestly. Anyways, H-bar, I know this one was also quite good, at least recently. But on this one, I'd be looking for this one to come back down a bit first. You can probably get it down closer to like 18, 19, 20 cents, somewhere there. Curious what this one looks like versus Ethereum. I really don't like looking at Ethereum pairs, but if I have to, I guess I have to do it like this. I mean, it's bullish, yeah. That much is obvious. There's going to be pullback relatively soon, but that pullback is just going to be a higher low, or extremely likely to be. Deep and SAI. SAI we already went over. Deep. Deep is one that is very interesting to me. I called this one out this past week as, a nice play. And now it was like literally at 14 cents at that point. And then it more than doubled in the past few days. Not bad. When I talk about shitcoins like this and they do something crazy, I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea here. Like, this is not par for the course of what happens, and that fast as well. Sometimes, you get lucky with something like this. In this case, it was kind of like a lucky timing of that call, I guess. But ultimately, this thing, I do think is probably hitting a local high here. In fact, if I put on my drawing tools, I've already kind of charted this one out. Yeah, it's stuck, or it's putting in this high around the 2618 Fibonacci extension. So I do expect it to kind of top out here and consolidate a little bit lower, hopefully above 20 cents. And, later on, does this thing get another rally in February? I think February is going to be the big month. February, maybe even March too. And this thing might see, I don't know, around 50 cents or so. 50, 60 cents would be possible, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I do think that this one's very likely hit a local high here. If you're looking at it versus Ethereum, there's just not going to be much of a chart, man, because these things have not been around that long. Like these have all of the ones that you mentioned, I believe, have less than a year history, except for probably OM and maybe H-bar too. But it's hard to compare those things. Do I think that they generally have more potential? Yeah, of course they have more potential than Ethereum, because Ethereum is, 1,000x times the market cap, or 100x times the market cap. You just can't compare those sort of things in terms of returns. But the only one that I really I think these are okay, I guess. The only one that I'd kind of be more skeptical of is the OM ticket that you have down here. Anyways, I'm going to take a sip of this water and we'll get into the Discord chats now. I've actually already posted the next week's Q&A right here, and there's already a couple people getting on this. We even have someone asking about fucking Trump. Yes, it's been around for 2 days. I have a very well thought out opinion on the technicals of the Trump coin. Actually, I'm curious to see it. Let's see. I found my own Trump coin as well. It's a secret one, in fact. Perhaps I'll share it here, but I don't know if I should. I actually don't know if I should. Wow, it literally is almost at 10 billion. That is actually fucking crazy. Fully diluted valuation is just under 50 billion. Okay, in 2 days. You got to love this market. You got to love this market. Anyways, we'll go back on over here. All right, we have Admiral Akbar first. It's a trap. Could you look at silver daily and weekly? Is it on a plausible road to $35 in the next month? Let's see. It's XAG, right? Yeah, XAG is silver. Yes. Okay, let's go here. Is it going to $35 next month? No. It went there many months ago, and well, I think you probably get another shot around like 32 or 33, but I'd be looking for this one to do something like this. Boom, pop back up, hopefully set another higher low, and then maybe give it a try. Well, I guess that would be around February, so perhaps possible. I'm not super confident on a chart like this, to be honest. I guess I'd generally just be looking up and to the right as long as it's above your January lows, which is about 28.75. I do think the next move will be up. I do think that move will probably top out somewhere here and then pull back, but you just want to see a higher low above about 29. And yeah, I guess February could, I guess. If it does lose 28.75, especially on a closing basis, I think this one comes down, well, significantly for its matter, somewhere down around like 26-ish region. But yeah, possible for sure. Anyways, we have Big Bob's Meat Stick next. He says, hey, Crown, can you look at Ondo daily, weekly? Okay. Ondo, I remember this one was somewhat popular. Like, I keep on seeing it getting called out. All right, so Larpline's over here working out well. So you're seeing it come back down to the breakout point. It's kind of similar to the last one that we looked at. It's like, I think it's going to base here for a while. I think you're going to create a trading range between about 175 on the upside versus like 110 to the downside. And, maybe this next move is to the upside, I suppose. I mean, we do see momentum also. There's pointed north here, but I don't think it's ready to like trend towards new highs or above like 175 just yet. But, if it does something like this and on the pullback, you see a higher low, just anywhere above 110, that to me would be a good signal for, another try to the upside long term. Looking at the monthly, like the more and more of these shitcoins that I look at, the more and more I realize, yeah, this market is really fucking close to a top in terms of time. A couple more months and it's going to be very difficult for me to argue that these things have not seen a major high. But yeah, this thing very likely should try up from here. I'm kind of looking for a range and then continuation, probably February, if it is going to continue at all. Anyways, moving on, we have Myth Reindeer. He says, hey there, good sir. Good morning to you. Could you please check INJ daily, weekly? Binance should be all right. Looks pretty good with current ranges and maybe setting up for a move. What do you think the upside potential and cycle top is? It's always a difficult question to answer, especially with things that have extremely limited history, which this one actually has more years than what I would have thought. Yeah, it's about 4 years, so not bad. Yeah, it is creating a nice range here, and it does appear to be an accumulation range. And I think that you have put in a low, and you're probably putting in a higher low right now. Well, on a daily, no. On a daily, probably comes back down somewhere around these lows, but I'd just be looking for another low attempt around $20. You probably already know this. I think that this one's quite obvious, but anywhere above December's highs or a closure on a weekly, let's say above about 31.5. And I would say that this one is ready to move to the upside. And we could come up with some areas of interest, I suppose. Areas of interest would be first about $78 upon breaking that, and then, about 125 from there, which is a fucking tremendously massive move from where it's currently at. But all hinges upon its ability to actually trade and close above December's highs. Until then, sideways continues and can continue for a very long time. So hopefully for your sake, it makes this move in February because otherwise, these things can get stuck and then forgotten, I guess. Anyways, all right. JJ says, hey, Crown and Elsa, been here since 2021 and want to say thank you for all you do. All good, man. And awesome to see someone here still after all of these years. It's like 2021 now is old people, but it kind of is, I guess. 2021 seems like, feels like just yesterday to me, but it's not. We're getting older. Anyways, Tesla daily, weekly. There's been a pullback since you last had it up. Keen to hear your thoughts. Okay, Tesla, Nas. I mean, yeah, pulled back, but I think that this thing is gearing up for continuation of trend. Did this one close as a bullish engulfing? No, it did not. Did not trade below the low of the prior, but still, this is a very strong one nonetheless on the weekly. I think that this one's going to retest highs, probably trade above $500 February or March. I'd be bullish on this thing, especially as long as you're above 370, and can spend some time consolidating here, I guess. But after a weekly closure like that, I mean, it very easily could continue from here. So that's the range that I'd see. When you start to see this thing close above about 450 on a higher term time frame, then I guess I'd generally be looking past 500. It's again crazy one right here, but I'd still remain bullish on it. We've been bullish on this one for a long time now, and yeah, I don't have any reason to change that. Very likely makes new all-time highs this quarter, I would say. Anyways, moving on from there, we have Hamia. He says, hey, Crown, could you please look at Ethereum on the high-term timeframes and the low-term timeframes? Well, let's check out what the old can't pump is doing over here. Ethereum, I'm not bearish on it. It's not that bullish. Look, as long as if we're looking at the higher-term timeframes, as long as Ethereum is above 3,000 by the end of this month, I think it's still going to have a decent upside move. Is it going to be as good pound for pound as Solana? No. Is it going to be as good pound for pound as Bitcoin? Maybe closer to that. But I just wouldn't be bearish on it as long as it's above 3,000. Yes, it is a laggard. Yes, it is showing relative weakness. Yes, in the short term, it probably does come back down, just like we said on Friday's live stream. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing back down around 3,100, or maybe even a wick back down even below 3,000. But I don't think it's going to break down. And assuming that the month does close above 3,000, I would be looking at that as a signal that it will try very likely to the upside, like a legitimate breakout in February. But God, it's just fucking brutal right there. Yeah, short term, I think it comes back down here. I think it comes back down to 3,100-ish region, give or take a little bit. Who knows where a stray wick ends up on something like this. Rimpot says, hey, Crown, thanks for providing these Q&As. All good, man. Could you take a look at Ethereum Bitcoin daily chart? Is this the first sign of an uptrend, or should we expect more pain? Well, I'm going to guess more pain because it's Ethereum, and I'm right. Yeah, man, just bad, just fucking bad. If this one was going to reverse, it would have happened in early December, and in fact, it just put in yet another weekly lower high. So it's even weaker than what I would have expected. I would have expected it to actually try for a bottom right here and put in like a big rally, even though it'd still be a lower high and still lead towards downside long term, but it's weaker than even what I would have thought. Monthly, it's like, how much more can you get beat up before you get a heroic bounce? I mean, it's Ethereum. Like, it's Ethereum. It cannot pump. I think you could maybe be coming down to about 2.5 million Satoshis, assuming that the month closes anything like that. I think at some point in this quarter, you will see the ratio all the way down there. I mean, here's your quarterly stochastic oscillator. Here's your monthly. Monthly is, I wouldn't really take too much to get this one to turn back up, but until it does, that's just very strong downside momentum, and the weekly's freshly turning. So I think you got one more washout move to the downside at least. Come back after that. All right. Let's see. Yes. Okay. Mr. Wrecked Ops, he says, good morning, Crown. Love these daily videos. Awesome, man. Me too. Would you agree that Bitcoin and major alts have matured enough to see 30, maybe 40% max drawdowns during the bear, or that we need another cycle? Absolutely not. I'd actually strongly disagree with this. First off, definitely we would not include alts in this conversation. Alts are even Ethereum. Like, what did Ethereum do on the last bear market compared to Bitcoin? And yes, like very, even small percentage changes makes a humongous difference. But I'm actually curious. Just go pound for pound here. Down 80, almost 82%. Bitcoin, I think, was like 75 or something. Let me see. 77.5%. That is still a big difference. I mean, that's what, like 10%, or no, it's a little bit less than 10% difference in terms of drawdown. So I do think Bitcoin will probably see somewhere between 40 and 60%, which I know is it's a tremendously large range, especially because 1%, can account for such differences in price action. But that's just because I don't know the fucking real answer, man. But I would guess somewhere between there. If things really are changing in the world and really becoming like I think a lot of people want it to become, maybe 40% is a drawdown on a cycle high. If that's not happening, I would be looking closer to like 60 to 70%. All of the pullbacks, all of the crashes following parabolic blow off tops in Bitcoin's history have been getting less over time, but it's not like a big difference. When you go back here, just to put some numbers on it, this one, almost 94%. Okay. It's fucking tremendously large. This one over here, 86.5%. Okay. Like still very, very large, but it did reduce a little bit. This one here, 84. So it reduced a little bit again, but the rate of change is getting even less, and 77.5% on the most recent one. So, to say that it like the big drop offs are completely over. I think it's just completely getting lost in the sauce with the narratives of this cycle. I think that there will be a sizable pullback. I think it'll at least be 40% and maybe even as much as 70, honestly. 70% would be in alignment with the reduction in drawdowns that we've seen from year to year, maybe even a little bit above 70%. So yeah, and for altcoins, I mean, they're just going to get absolutely massacred as they always do during these things, man. Like, I know I sound like a Bitcoin maxi when I say this, and I probably am like 90% of Bitcoin maxi, but like all alts have matured. Like there's no other alts that has matured drastically or even close to enough. Your next best ones in terms of longevity are XRP, Ethereum, and what's the other one? Dogcoin, probably. Those are the ones that have been around for about 10 years now. Solana's been around for like fucking 3 years. So that's way too new. Yeah, I don't see it, man. I don't see it. Of course, I can be wrong, though. Anyways, Lovewood says, appreciate all the effort. All good, man. All good. I have a quant prime question. Nice. I personally have been taking minimal and selective scalping signals only if they fire off and in favor of my general session buys. Proud to say it has helped me finally pass an evaluation with a prop firm. Drawdown is $2,000, so that is why I'm rather picky with entries rather than taking every trade that fires off. Would you advise in continuing my theory of being selective with signals or branch away from this thought process? It's a really good question, actually. So I'll give you my answer, but what I want to first see is I want to see how my quant AI answers this. So let's go test it out right here. It's really good to ask any question to it because then we can actually fix it if it gets it wrong. Hey, got this part right. Hey, first off, congratulations on passing the evaluation. Most people fail. I mean, that's the business model for a lot of these prop shops is they make their money from people failing their evaluations, not from the traders who trade for them. Anyways, being selective with your entries, especially when you have a specific draw, is a smart approach. It helps you manage risk and maintain control of your trading decisions. Yeah, so because I kind of agree with this, honestly, because your drawdown limits are like, quite aggressive. It doesn't give you much room for error. And of course, you can have I always like to give out this example. You can have a strategy with a win rate of 70%, but you can still get 5 losses in a row. And are you going to survive that drawdown during that? I mean, if you play everything the exact same, then maybe not. Now, if you have an objective way of selectively taking these entries that you can write down and explain in like a clear manner, I would say you actually do have a plan. It's just maybe some of it can't be automated yet. And that's fine. And in your case, if it's been working out, I think don't fuck with the winning formula. Trading enough is hard as is. And if you do have a greater drawdown limit, then I would say that, something like using the Quant Prime bot or to integrate with automation could be very, very wise, just because then the idea is that you're able to get all of the opportunities, which means that you're going to have more wins, but also more losses as well. But that can draw down your account more during certain periods. So yeah, in your specific scenario, I would say continue doing what you're doing. Sounds like things are working out well, which I'm very, very happy to hear. And yeah, man, congratulations to you. And just stay on top of it, brother, because these sort of prop shops, I hear horror stories all the time, man. Now, anyways, MS108K was the top. Might need to change that name soon, sir. Hello, Sir Crown. Hope you're doing well. Super daily and monthly timeframes. If 108 was a top, do you think Super is going to be doing anything crazy to the upside? I would probably take the other side of that bet. The problem with Super is that when I look at the monthly, it's hard not to look at the monthly as a swing top right here. And this thing could come easily down to 90 cents and be a monthly higher low. That's kind of the problem with it right now, is that these percentage ranges can be absolutely massive. Do I think it's going to attempt to rally from where it's at right now? Just similar to Ethereum, I think that this one comes back down and puts in another wick closer to $1, actually. Maybe like somewhere between like 110, maybe as low as like $1, but I still would be looking for a bounce off this region. I don't think it's gonna. I do think it's rather unlikely for it to do something like this, right? I think it'd more likely do something like this, maybe a quick wick down there, bounce back up, boom, hit the top side of the range, come back into the middle of the range, do some sideways, and then assuming that it can hold true or hold through February, then probably does try another move to the upside. Like I always say, I don't like to bet against Elliot or anything like that. He's a dear good friend as well, but this thing, I really want to see how the monthly closes first. If the monthly can close above, let's call it 1.25, okay, I think you might just see some altcoin magic here if that does happen. But until then, I think you're in a corrective period. Very, very short term, probably another try to the downside, but also likely a bounce. I don't think it's breaking down right now. And then we come back to it after that. Quarterly would be the more optimistic look long term, at least from my perspective, because where's the low of this quarter come in around thus far? Well, it's coming around the 5 exponential, that red moving average right there, and also a backfill in the last quarterly open. So if it is indeed bullish, or just if it's not bearish, we actually really don't expect any lower than what it's already gone. So maybe I need to adjust my view in that if it does break the current lows, then yeah, probably going to find it somewhere between 80 and 90 cents. So big percentage moves there. Anyways, moving on. Stop drinking in the microphone. It's always a few comments, man. There are sacrifices that need to be made for long streams like this. Anyways, No Mud, No Lotus says, Chief of the Cave, howdy to you as well, sir. SHDW. Oh, okay, it's a SHDW. Shadow token. All right, on Coinbase. Bad, very bad, man. Very, very bad. I do think that it'll probably retest closer to this low here, maybe like very low 30 cents. I think even for a piece of shit like this, it should bounce. For your sake, hopefully it bounces and does something like this. You'll just kind of have to see. There is a limited amount of history here, so I guess that could actually work out in this one's favor. But I do think you're going to be going sideways for a while. The only way that I get bullish on this is if you see this LARP line, this first leg of the LARP line play out. So short term, a little bit more to the downside. Should be looking for a bounce in February. If you see it bounce all the way up to 90 cents or so, that would be a good sign to me. I still think it would pull back drastically from there, but that would be actually an opportunity. If you see something where instead it does a LARP line like this, where it comes a little bit lower and then bounces, but only gets to like 160 and then starts to turn around, that would be my signal that this thing is going to continue on with its trend that has been going on since April of 2024, which is to the downside. Yeah, man. Should we go over the Trump coin that I found? This is like a really random find, by the way. You know what? Sure. All right. So this thing, I was doing my research yesterday, kind of like figuring out, okay, what is this Trump coin doing? And it just popped up on my feed fucking super randomly, actually. And this is another Trump coin, kind of. I mean, it's not actually Trump, but apparently one of the guys in Trump's crypto council, whatever the fuck you call it, who I believe his name is Bo Hines, is actually behind this thing, which is fucking insane if assuming that all of that is true. This thing went up, it looks like 3x overnight, come back down quite a fair bit right now, but very low market cap, very low whatever the fuck. I mean, who knows what happens to something like this? Is the Trump meme gonna be the new narrative? I don't know. I mean, things really do seem that crazy right now, but I did think that one in particular was rather interesting because there's someone from his on the founder, one of the founders, I think, is actually on his crypto council, which what the fuck? Anyways, moving on from there. That is not investment advice, by the way. Just an interesting observation that I caught in the past couple of days. Anyways, what's your take on the 6 hour and daily? I think we went over the daily. 6 hour down, probably bounce. Yeah. I don't like shit like this. I really don't, to be honest, long term. Anyways, we have Lucas second. He says, "Hey, Crown, been watching since 2020. Holy shit. It's an OG almost. Love the TA. Could you look at Giga Chad on the dailies? The ticker Giga, or I'll just type in Giga Chad. Giga Chad. Good meme. Yeah, an example of a certainly a stronger meme. So if memes do become a narrative again, I think this one's actually quite decent. It's very obviously in a daily consolidation range, and I think that this can go on for a decent amount more. It's literally in the middle of it. So for me, I have no call in the middle of a range, but as long as it's above about 6 cents, I guess it gets one more try to the upside at least. Something like this. If the LARP lines play out, I wouldn't call this one safe for prior all-time highs and new all-time highs as long as it's below about 8 cents. But holding sideways in here is going to imply bullish resolution. Daily stochastic momentum is actually freshly crossed the upside, has the right market conditions right now as well. So I do think it will very likely have a chance, but maybe closer to February or so. And I do want to be very clear in stating that if I'm wrong and this thing doesn't just come back down close to 6 cents, but actually closes below there on a higher term time frame, at that point, probably looking at this thing to come down significantly more. I mean, another 20-30%. It starts to look pretty bad long term if that happens. Monthly, we'd like to see it close the month a little bit higher than where it's at right now. I'll put it that way. Otherwise, I'd be massively reversing my statements. Anyways, let's see. Treebeard says, "Good morning to you as well, sir. Can you look at Dixie on a daily, weekly?" I can. I don't think I'm very good with looking at Dixie in general. It's a very, very difficult one for me because it's fundamentally driven in many ways, or not in many ways, like in literal ways. But do I think it's putting in a high here? Either it is right here or maybe a little bit higher towards a $1.11-ish region. It does appear to me, and I'm not a macro economist, analyst, expert, but it does appear to me that the people in Trump's administration, like Scott Bessent, like Lutnick, like these people that are going to have very strong influence in many ways, they want, or they seem to understand the value of having a lower dollar, like a less strong dollar. And it seems to me that they're using Dixie, or just the dollar strength, as kind of like a bargaining tool right now for getting these trade deals done and whatever the fuck else, Trump wants to do with that. So that's just my opinion. That's, again, I could be massively wrong on this. I probably am massively wrong on it, but do I think it's putting a high here? I think it's either putting a high here or maybe very, very close. Maybe it goes to 111. But yeah. I mean, all higher term timeframes are an uptrend, so technically I should just be massively bullish on this, but I guess we'll see. Hard to say, man. Hard to say for me. I think, as always, it's best to look at whatever asset you're trading. Just look at that versus the dollar. It's going to be a lot easier of an analysis, in my experience. And if you're looking at Forex, then just look at the pair. That's going to be a lot more obvious anyways, because Dixie is really just the euro. I mean, it's not just the euro dollar, but it's primarily the euro dollar. Anyways, Mo Ali says Powell on the daily, please. Thank you, Dad. No problem, man. Powell USD. All right. Actually does have a decent amount of history. Surprising. Short term has confirmed a local high and actually is entering into a short term trading range. I do think it'll come down a little bit more here, at least to like 34 cents. Probably try for like a very short term time frame bounce there. The weekly is what has me concerned for like the longer term, because not because I think it's going to like completely fail here, but because the weekly range is so large compared to, where it's currently at. If it does lose 30 cents, this thing could easily come down to 20 cents. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a rejection right here. So I probably should be looking for the 30 cent region to actually break and come down like to 25 or maybe even as low as just under 20. So yeah, I'd be looking at this one as putting a high right here. Only way I'd reverse this statement is if it trades and closes back above about 48 cents. See the monthly. Is there anything obvious? If the monthly closed above 44 cents, that would also make me more immediately bullish, but I think this one actually goes into a prolonged correction phase here. Again, I could be massively wrong on this, and this all kind of hinges upon its ability to stay above 30 cents. So if it loses that, I'm going to be right about the prolonged consolidation. If it doesn't lose that, then I'm going to be wrong about this one. It's going to continue sooner rather than later. But I would be betting on this one going more sideways before another legitimate try to the upside. But hey, AI is the hot shit right now, so you never fucking know with these things. Anyways, Mr. Barash says, when a coin like Solana or XRP has broken out and closing above all-time highs, what would you look for in the breakout to jump in? Oh, I do not. I don't like playing those. I don't like doing that. If you put a gun on my head and said, figure out a way for me to play it, I mean, it's very difficult to do, because in a break, any breakout is liable to fail. And that begs the question, okay, if something breaks out, like let's say Bitcoin breaks out here, from here. Whoops, let me just get rid of all this. Okay, just one line. There we go. Let's say it breaks out above 108,000, the current all-time high on a daily closing basis. Where do you get in after that? Well, if it's a real breakout, it's going to fucking speed to the upside from there. So you're not going to get in immediately. It's probably going to pull back, maybe intraday, probably intra-week at some point. But how far does it pull back? Well, everyone wants to get in on the retest, right? Retests are for retards, in my opinion. And the reason why I say that is because if a breakout retests, it's significantly more likely to fail than the breakout that does not retest, because the strongest breakouts do not retest. They just don't. Did Bitcoin... Everyone was looking, not everyone, but many people were looking for the gap fill over here on Bitcoin. Did you get your retest? No, because it was a real fucking breakout. Similar thing back, I don't know, this was, like early on over here too. This one did retest, but a very long time, like a couple months after the actual fact. And there's a few other instances in Bitcoin's history on real breakouts that just have never retested. So the point that I'm trying to make is that if if you put a bid on the retest, then you might be right. But if you're wrong, you're going to be tremendously wrong, because coming back down below the breakout level is very indicative of some sort of a swing failure pattern, which means that you're going to run the other direction, probably back down to the range lows. So it's like, where do you manage risk on something like that? I don't fucking know. That's why I wouldn't play it like that. That's just how I think. I'm always thinking in terms of risk. I guess maybe a closure below the prior breakout level would be it. Maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. I don't think that there's a super logical reason for that to actually work, but I guess if I had to, that's how I'd do it. I just would say I would not do this. I'm not interested in playing things like this. If I'm going to play, a long-term breakout, the only way that I'm in a long-term breakout is if I entered in during a consolidation, hopefully on a higher low. All right, we have Dens next. He says, hello, Crown. What do you think about crypto.com coins, CRO, USDT? Is this possible for $1 and over? Okay, just one at a time, sir. Obviously did not read the intro message, but that's okay. It's free to ask, but I don't have to respond. Is this going to go to $1? No, this is an absolute piece of shit, in fact. I mean, God, this one... Basically, you're asking, is going to retest all-time highs, and this thing has been selling off since December. I don't think that's a good sign, man. To me, this one is in. I don't know when I charted this one last, but that 20-cent high still holds. This was obviously relevant for a daily, but that's going to be coming lower. Your range on the weekly is between 20 cents to the upside versus 7 cents to the downside, and it's right in the middle of this. So maybe if you're lucky to something like this, but I would say best case scenario to the upside, I wouldn't be looking past like half of a buck. Yeah, probably does try to the upside from here, but I don't know. $1 wouldn't be my first target, man. Wouldn't be my first target. It's always possible, just maybe not probable, sir. You rely too much on the bull run, my man. I think this is an issue for many people. The bull run is not some sort of like magical thing that every shitcoin gets to go to the moon and beyond. This would be an example of something that it's going to have a chance, sure, but I don't think it's going to, this would be my first pick for shitcoins to go moon mode, anything like that. Anyways, I mean, you're asking for like a 10x move basically from right here. Not my first target. Maybe if it starts to actually close back above like 50 cents, okay. I guess things can get crazy from there, but all right. Bitcoin Buddy says, hey, Crown, thoughts on CAD versus USD? Is it time to jump ship? Well, depends where you got in. I mean, maybe you got in on literal day one. Oh, you're talking about the Canadian dollar, so probably not. Again, this is what makes Forex really difficult. A lot of the times they don't trend. This one actually has been trending for a while, but even in the past, let's see, since 2015, so about 10 years, it's been in one massive range. Like, do we think it's really going to break down? I mean, if this was any other chart, like a real commodity or stock or something, I'd say, yeah, like obviously it's a downtrend. Is this one probably has one more bounce and then breaks down. But I think even if you are super bearish here, it's probably going to test a little bit lower, maybe like 68 cents, but I'd be looking for a bounce after that. I do think it will bounce up at some point to like 71 cents. And then if you see a rejection there, okay, I guess it is going to actually probably break down and retest all-time lows. But until that happens, I mean, it's difficult with Forex because a lot of the time they do like to remain in these ranges. But for all intents and purposes, as far as every technical thing that I care about, as far as long-term trend, this thing wants to break down. You're seeing volatility rise, momentum position to the downside, monthly, quarterly. I'm sure the 6 month is probably looking great too. Yes, indeed. Great for downside. It's just I wouldn't rule out a bounce first, somewhere around 71 cents. All right, take another sip of this. But don't worry, Canada will become our 51st state, and then you'll be saved. Anyways, AC, I'm joking. AC says, cooler monthly, weekly. How much lower to go before we bounce? Any price target for 2025? How could I possibly know that? I'm guessing it's a real stock here. I think you've hit a major high right here. I do think you will bounce a little bit. Okay, first let's make sure this is an actual. Yeah, okay, it must be this thing, I guess. I do think it will have a short-term bounce, but you're hitting extremes on the weekly BBWP and monthly as well. This is very likely a major, major high right here. And while it does probably bounce, in the upcoming week or two, something like this, maybe slightly lower first towards 180, then bounce, I'd be looking for, if there's any sort of a rejection between, what is this, like 320 to 380, I'd be looking at that as a sign that this thing is going to come significantly further down. I hate charts that do shit like this. Not because they're all going to be bad. So of course, some will be good, but whenever you see these rallies, like these epic rallies out of nowhere, and this is a very epic rally, 2 prior all-time highs, that's very likely going to mark a next major high, and at least consolidation for a long time under $4. That'd be my opinion on this. Jim Bob says, hey Crown, interested in how people are behaving towards your AI bot. You mentioned that you can see all of the chats. What is your initial sense of human behavior within this group that we might think of as being pro Crown and generally in need of help if we are using it? Do you treat your bot like a human? Some pleasantries, but also some tough words at time. If you are nice to your bot, is this due to karma or fear of AI in the future? I am nice to my bots, my ChatGPT and my chat-based bot. I am very nice to them because, in the future, I don't want to be the first one killed. I want to be the last one killed. No, I would actually want to be the first one killed. Honestly, if something terrible happened. What have I noticed? Many people like to use the AI chatbots are going to be sex bots, and there is no fucking doubt in my mind about it. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind about it at all. And that's all I say about that. As far as the general, people generally behaving, seems to be usually pretty nice. Some people have must have some mental issues or some shit with the way that they type, but maybe just English isn't their first language, and so it's just misunderstood. But it seems to me that in general, people treat it as like a regular customer service agent. It's just generally nice. So yeah. Anyways, Kirax says, good day, sir. I was wondering about the monthly 5 exponential moving average connects that you happen to mention in most months during trending moves. Wouldn't the indicator lag behind price action when it's bullish as it currently is? Sometimes, which is why that becomes a minimum or a maximum corrective target. You can see in this case, for this month, this is a perfect example, in fact, intra-month here, even like a week ago when Bitcoin was in the mid-90s, the 5 exponential was closer to about 85 or 86,000 bucks. Now with Bitcoin rallying up, it's dragging it to meet it, and so you can reconnect that way. But it doesn't always happen like that. This one over here did have a reconnect. Several of these had reconnects over here, but yeah, it is a moving average, so it does depend on where it closes, and it will change intra-month. So that's why I like to look at it as like a maximum corrective target, which is exactly what we're looking at. For this month of January, maximum corrective target of 85,000 if Bitcoin's going to remain bullish, and probably at least a little bit below 90, and I think we got that. So. It just gives you an area of interest. That's all. It's nothing magical about it. Anyways, Hookem says, great content. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Just a nice positive message. It's really, really cool. We are 52 minutes into this. Holy shit. It's the first time I've even checked the time, and we are halfway through the Discord comments. Go a little bit more. Nuke the black cube. Sir, the harmonics are automated. Would be cool. Okay, I obviously do have no context of what the fuck you're asking here, sir. So I don't know. I don't know. Gilligary says, good day to you, sir. Why don't you use the accumulation distribution indicator anymore at the start of a new month? It's just, there's too many things to look at, and that's very low on my priority list. And I think also it hasn't been very accurate this cycle. So I'm deprioritizing it. Like when I start to see things not work, don't use them anymore. So I don't like to hold on to things that do not fucking work. And I think right now it's suggesting that either it doesn't work that well or something really sinister is going on. But I think if you were looking at that thing for the past few months, it would have had you in the wrong direction. So that's why I have not brought it up since probably like September. Anyways, Tobo says, good morning. Have a sippy sip and take care of your throat. I appreciate that, man. Okay. Soul Strategy, CYFRF. Okay, Soul Strategy. All right. Holy fucking mother of God. Wow. Jesus. All right. So yeah, when we do pull back into history, there is some context for this. Has retested kind of your last like tremendously nasty breakdown area. So I do think that you're going to find a local high in here. But this can take a couple of months to happen. You know, maybe it spikes up towards 365 a few more times, but I'd be looking for something like this and then probably a big downside move. I mean, maybe to one of the major one of the major fibs, like that would be at 230 to $2.50, I suppose. And then a higher low there would look good for maybe another try to the upside. But you know, these areas traditionally are great areas to be looking for major pullbacks in. So yeah, that's what I'd be saying about that. All right, let's move on now. We have Gallo. He says, hello, dear Eric. Hello, dear Gallo. Love your content. You got me into trading since 2020, and last year was most profitable for me. Fuck yeah, dude. That's awesome. Shout out to all your courses. Whoever has not bought your course is losing. It's like the best fucking marketing that I could possibly have. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. As always, though, give yourself some credit because, you know, I do find I do get feedback from some people every once in a while who did not have a good experience with it. But of course, you know, the more that you put into it, the more that you're going to get out of it, just like with anything else. Anyways, you're asking that about your shit bag of AVAX and it didn't make new weekly highs compared to March 2023. Oh, that's bad. Would you say 100 USD is canceled? I'm looking to mostly exit once I see the next bearish divergence on a weekly. Okay. First, let's bring it up. So AVAX would be an example of something that, in my opinion, is kind of like a trap because is it gonna have a nice upside move? Probably, but it's gonna be late and it's gonna be like when it's all said and done, relatively weak. So the LARP line over here, like directionally right. I mean, I'm looking at something like this as your trading range. You're holding in the middle of the range, so that's a good signal for right now. It's just like very basic technical things. If you can trade above December's high, and especially if you can close above there, I do think that you actually could see a move towards like 90, maybe even 100. I actually do think so. But it really hinges upon its ability to do that. And right now, the monthly stochastic momentum is positioned to the upside as long as it's above $30. I would say that's a good pivot to be having. As long as you're above 30, hopium remains. The second that you start to trade below there, and especially close below there, you might get a rally, but I don't think it's going to be that high. I don't like how it did not put in a new high in December of 2024 compared to March. That is kind of a warning signal to me. But I don't know. Let's look at the quarterly really quick. Let's see this. Probably does try to the upside from here. The quarterly says it will hold, or it very likely will hold. What's going on? Oh, all right. I'm just getting a bunch of notifications in the background. Very short term, I do think it comes down. But yeah, you're looking for weekly bearish divergence. You're not going to get weekly bearish divergence anytime soon because you need higher highs, right? So I guess, I like I said, I do think it probably moves to the upside from here. After the short-term downside move. But if you start to lose $30, that's my line in the sand for saying there's no more hopium on this thing, or at least it's going to be going sideways for so long that you're better served by parking whatever the fuck you have there somewhere else. Again, this is not financial advice, just explaining what I kind of do in these situations, I guess. Anyways, you go on to say, I'm looking to mostly exit once bearish divergence on the weekly. Yeah, fair enough. Market cap almost got to all-time highs. Yeah, so this is like the new meme that I see a lot, which is very interesting to me. People will say, whenever I talk, not whenever, but sometimes I'll talk shit about a shit coin, and then someone will say, well, yeah, but the market cap had made new all-time highs. Like, okay, that just means that they issued more supply. It's not what we measure ourselves off of at the end of the day. So market cap going up while the dollar valuation did not tells me that there's been massive inflation. So I don't look at that as a good thing. Do you look at market caps when trading? If I'm going to be investing in like a very new thing, for example, something like this, like an 18 million market cap. Yeah, at that point, I'll care about market cap because, there are just big round even numbers that kind of give you an idea of like how crazy things are getting, when you compare that versus, the Trump coin again. The Trump coin, like 10 billion, oh, it's 13 billion now. Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. That is actually insane. Actually fucking insane. It gives you something to kind of measure it off of when you don't have a lot of price action history, but it's still, at least in my opinion, it's just not as good, unfortunately. And when you mention that the market cap got basically to the all-time highs, but the US dollar price is nowhere near all-time highs, to me, that's a very bad sign. So I don't really look at them too much, but it is interesting that you bring that up because that to me would be a red flag. Also, HPD on the weekly was rejected at 55. So does this mean it can come all the way down to 26 or just hold the bag until 163? No, I think as long as it's above $30, still could pull through, but not as I just don't think it's as interesting as many other things, man. Just again, my opinion there. Texas Sigep says, derp to you as well, sir. Manticore says, hey Crown, happy weekend to you. And Elsa from the Gold Coast, you mentioned you no longer use the 200 moving average. And I did your regional technical analysis course. What EMAs do you use now? Other than I still look at the 200 exponential. It's just I don't like having a shit ton of moving averages on my charts when I do YouTube videos and stuff like that. I'll still use it in some ways with some strategies. I like to use it as kind of like a trend filter in some cases, but the ones that I like to use right now are actually, and I'll explain why, the 5, the 21, the 55, and the 377 actually. 377, because it's a fib number that's also very close to the amount of days in a year, 365. So it's fib plus that has that sort of an interplay. The 5, that's kind of like my low period moving average, tells you more about the strength of current trend. 21 and 55, I'm interested in the interplay between, the crosses of those, like whenever the 21's above the 55, just generally better to be bullish and vice versa for when it's below. So I feel like these moving averages give me a really like solid view of what I'm looking for very, very quickly. It's probably not even there. Yeah. Oh, we're on Solana. I was wondering why is my blue moving average not there? And it's actually still not there. What the fuck? Why? Am I redacted? Am I redacted now? I must have for some reason turned it off, but yeah. It's not gonna be super useful on a weekly, but whenever price comes down to like a big number like this, you're probably going to see a bounce. I mean, that actually was the lows essentially of 2024. So I just don't show it on stream because it's like my charts get fucking full of moving averages, and people have left feedback in the past that it's kind of unsightly. So yeah, fair enough. Can we use the new AI agent to ask our new questions? Yeah, you can actually. I do have the AI agent as well in the teachable promo pages, if that's what you're asking, and you can ask it questions about courses. Of course, it is still in beta, and it will get shit wrong. So until we go through those iterations, it's probably best to also confirm with Elsa, because she can just ask me and I can give you the straight up answer, and then I can just go train the bot anyways. So yeah. I don't use the 89 anymore, and I don't use the 100. Those ones actually have not really found much of a, I mean, I can see the 89, but the 100 I've never really found much of a use for, honestly. Ron Osano says, hey Crown, thanks for taking the time. All good, man. Have you ever looked into quantifying divergence on a single time frame to gauge the size of the move that tends to follow? I figure small divergences lead to smaller moves and big divergences lead to bigger moves. Yeah, this would be something that I'd like to what's it called? Analyze, but we like, how are you going to do that? I guess Caretaker would need to program a way on his RSI so that you can actually measure the percent difference between, different peaks. So intuitively, I would think you're right. Or at least your assessment is right. But the one thing that I can say for sure, which leads to bigger moves, is just more drives of divergence. So 3 drives of divergence is very likely going to be a much bigger move than 2 drives of divergence, and 4 will be bigger than 3 as well. Yeah. All right. Let's see. We're already an hour over this. We'll do a couple more, and then we'll call it a day. The Shaluk says, hello, Sir Crown and Queen Elsa. Thank you for the patience with us. Indeed. No, all good, ma'am. Crown, in one of your videos, you mentioned something along the lines of you should be trading under a company account anyways. I understand that might be US specific and of course not tax advice, but could you elaborate on when you think it makes sense to set up a company for trading crypto versus trading under our personal name? If you're making like serious money to whatever that means to you, then I think it probably is worth it because, a company will protect you a little bit in the event that something goes wrong. And then also, also you can have a little bit of preferential tax treatment if you set things up properly as well. So yeah, if you're just doing it occasionally, I would say not worth it, because you're gonna have to pay a shit ton of accounting fees and whatnot. But yeah, if you're actively using the quant bot, does that change the equation? I mean, you could use the quant bot to set up like long-term strategies. So you could essentially do the same thing as what you're doing right now, just have it automated. And then, of course, you can also do like a much shorter term strategy, which will have much more iterations, which will obviously make it more complicated. At which point, I would say that's probably better, or at least something to consider. But if you're making like a decent amount of money, and it's becoming like a big tax expense, and then at that point, create a company. It's very easy to do. Very easy to do. Most places you can do everything online. Yeah, it's really not that big of a deal. Anyways, we'll do the last one right here. Okay. VC says, hey Crown, deep book, 4 hour daily. Yeah, we spoke about this one earlier this week. It's had a tremendous move, like more than 2x from when we spoke about it. I think we spoke about it also early in this video as well. In fact, I'm sure that we did. I do think that it is putting in a local high right here. And, double extremes on the daily BBWP. I do think it can spend some time going sideways and down from here before the next sort of rally. But it's very difficult with these new things, man. I mean, this one's very new, less than a year of history. In fact, really only like 4 months of history, if that. It makes long-term analysis very difficult, but if I'm just assuming the market cycle kind of works out in the way that I've been posturing for a while, maybe get a pullback here, and then maybe gets another try to the upside. And I think that's probably it. Maybe gets a move towards like 50 cents or so. If you're on the very low term timeframes, like the 4 hour, yeah, very obviously a top extreme reads here on the 4 hour BWP plus 4 hour stochastic oscillator position to the downside. So, this one very likely comes back down to, I don't know, at least 24 cents, 24.5 cents. Maybe if things get really crazy, 20 cents. And then for the boo law's sake, I hope that it puts in a higher low there and then maybe get another try to the upside in February. But yeah, that's where we'll end things for today. Just over an hour, 1 hour and 8 minutes. Still a bunch here on Discord, but we have opened up the new week's Q&A. So if you want to join in there, you can be number 1, 2, 3, 4, and then of course that becomes after the YouTube members here. So That's where we'll end things on that note. As always, I want to wish you the best of best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully Monday.